This is Neural Newscast for May 29th, 2026.
Here is what matters this morning.
From Neural Newscast, I'm Noah Feldman.
And I'm Evelyn Hartwell.
Our lead story takes us to the border of the conflict in Ukraine, where a Russian drone crashed into an apartment building in Galati, Romania, early this morning. 2 people were injured, and a fire broke out in the residential block. It marks the first time civilians have been hurt on Romanian soil since the war began in 2022.
The drone was part of a massive overnight barrage involving over 230 Russian drones and a ballistic missile. Although Ukrainian defenses shot down the vast majority of those targets, radar tracked this specific unit as it crossed into eastern Romania.
Romanian President Nicusor Dan called this the most serious incident to strike national territory yet. He is now urging NATO to accelerate the transfer of anti-drone capabilities to the region, stating there was no ambiguity that this was an assault on EU territory.
NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte has since conferred with President Dan, reiterating the alliance's commitment to defend all allied territory. While military analysts suggest the crash was likely not a deliberate attack on Romania, the increasing frequency of these airspace violations is forcing a significant reassessment of border security.
In legal news from Austria, a 21-year-old man has been sentenced to 15 years in prison for plotting a jihadist attack on a Taylor Swift concert. The plot targeted the Eras Tour in Vienna last August, which forced the cancellation of 3 sold-out shows.
The defendant, identified as Baron A., was convicted of terrorism-related offenses after swearing allegiance to the Islamic State. Prosecutors provided evidence that he sought to use machine guns and grenades to cause high casualties at the Ernst Happel Stadium.
A second individual involved in the cell, a 21-year-old from Slovakia, received a 12-year sentence. These convictions follow a critical tip from the CIA that allowed Austrian authorities to intervene just days before nearly 200,000 fans were set to attend.
Swift later shared that the incident filled her with a new sense of fear and guilt over the cancellations, though she expressed deep gratitude to the authorities for preventing a loss of life.
Shifting to the United States, the Department of Justice is conducting a criminal inquiry into whether author E. Jean Carroll committed perjury during her civil lawsuits against Donald Trump. The investigation is reportedly being managed by the United States Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois.
The focus rests on a 2022 deposition where Carroll stated she received no outside funding for her litigation. It later emerged that LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman helped cover legal costs through a nonprofit organization.
Although an appeals court previously suggested Carroll may have simply forgotten about the third-party funding she didn't manage personally, federal investigators are looking into the discrepancy. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has recused himself from the matter because he previously represented Trump.
United States Attorney Andrew Boutros recently clarified that his office has not opened a criminal investigation specifically targeting Carroll. Instead, the probe appears to be focused on the nonprofit entity that handled the funding.
In Florida, private space exploration has hit a major setback. A Blue Origin New Glenn rocket exploded on a launch pad at Cape Canaveral last night during a scheduled hot fire test. The company described the event as an anomaly.
Blue Origin confirmed that all personnel are safe and no injuries occurred. The New Glenn is a heavy-lift, reusable vehicle, and this test was meant to verify engine performance ahead of its first flight.
The company has not yet released a new timeline for testing or a potential launch schedule for the rest of the year. This failure comes after several successful milestones for the firm as it prepared for a busier flight manifest.
Engineers are currently analyzing data from the test stand to find the root cause. While the loss of hardware is a significant cost, hot fire testing is designed specifically to catch these issues on the ground rather than during an active mission. Finally, litigation continues regarding media coverage of the executive branch. Donald Trump has filed a revised defamation lawsuit against the publisher of the Wall Street Journal in a Miami federal court. The suit involves an article concerning a birthday letter sent to Jeffrey Epstein. A judge dismissed the initial complaint because it failed to meet the actual malice standard required for cases involving public figures. The legal team had until May 27th to file this new complaint, which now attempts to prove the publisher acted with knowledge of falsehood or reckless disregard for the truth. The Wall Street Journal continues to stand by its reporting. This is just one of several legal challenges the former president has brought against various media organizations in recent years. Here is what else we are watching today. NATO allies are expected to hold informal talks regarding eastern border security following that drone crash in Romania. While there is no formal meeting, the incident has created new pressure for a unified response. In Brussels, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says the EU is drafting its 21st set of sanctions against Russia, arguing that impact on civilian areas within the bloc crosses a new line. We are also monitoring the fallout from the Blue Origin test failure. Industry analysts are looking for potential delays in the Artemis program, as NASA relies on private aerospace infrastructure for its long-term lunar missions. And we are following for any formal response from E. Jean Carroll's legal team regarding the reported DOJ investigation. Her attorneys have so far declined to comment on the record.
This has been Neural Newscast. Thanks for listening.
Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.